Hi guys, I'm the Infamous, and today we're going to be going over Seth's W engines, cinemas, teams, and more. I also have chapters so you can skip to a part you like, but I'd recommend watching the whole way through just so you can make sure you're getting the best out of your Seth. Now with that out of the way, let's get right into the video. Seth is a 4-star electric defense character. As of right now, his only competition is Ben, another 4-star, meaning that this part of the video may actually be outdated when Caesar comes out, just because of the fact that her W engine is a 5-star, so it may actually outperform his. But if you guys are watching this when she's out, feel free to ask any questions in the comments. As of right now, this is what his best W engines are. As of right now, Seth's best W engine is his signature, of course. He is a defense character that gives Anomaly support, and you could also use him because he's just that good. You can use him to proc disorder. Now, this actually helps with that because when he uses his EX special, you're getting the Anomaly buildup. That is a very significant boost because that makes him more consistent overall for his DPS. Now, if you're just dedicated to just supporting, you don't care for any of the Anomaly whatsoever, then I would actually recommend Spring's Embrace, because in the hardest difficulty, which I think is critical defense, you're not even going for time limit. You're actually just going for survival. And for some of those that are playing mobile, or even in general, some people struggle with dodging or parries, and this actually helps a lot because reducing damage is just that good. You know, this is a battle pass weapon, so I don't think everybody's gonna have this, but if you can R5 this, you're reducing the damage taken really good, and you're also getting energy regen, which is the same thing his signature gives, but the only thing you're really losing out on is the Anomaly boost. Again, I really do feel like the damage reduction is very nice, especially with the type of difficulty we're getting in this game. So don't feel afraid to pull for this simply because of the fact that this isn't his signature. It's just as good, if not better in some cases, in my personal opinion. When we start looking at drive discs for Seth, I really do think it's a little bit of a unique situation because personally, I don't know how you guys work with this, right? But I don't really use defense characters, and usually in video games, if you're using a defensive character, you're gonna want to put damage reduction and defense. And in this game, we only have one defensive set, and ironically, I don't feel like anybody actually wants it. The energy regen set is giving a huge DPS increase, and in my opinion, I feel like this is easily Seth's best in slot. If you guys are running Seth in a mono electric team, you guys could also go for a 4-piece Freedom Blue, but I usually don't run him on a mono electric. I just run him with either Jane Doe by herself or with Nekomata. Those are the only times I'm really using Seth personally, so for me, I would always use a 4-piece energy regen set. Again, it's a little bit of a unique situation because he's a defense character. You would want to put a defense set on him, or that's what you would assume, you know, at least just looking at his role, but nope, he's basically a support character. The defense characters are basically just support characters. So again, 4-piece energy if you're trying to go for a universal support, meaning that you can slide this into basically any team and he's still going to provide that value with his chain attacks and the increase for damage. Or if you're running a mono electric team, for example maybe Rena, Grace, then you can run a 4-piece Freedom Blue set. When we start talking about main stats, again, he's a fairly unique character just because of the fact that he's our only Anomaly support in the game. So for me, how I'm personally building him is I'm putting Anomaly Mastery, Electric Damage Bonus, and I'm trying to put Anomaly Proficiency in here. He is going to be single-handedly proccing Disorder on my Jane Doe and Nekomata teams because both of them are both physical. He is the only other off element, so he would have to be the one proccing Disorder if I want to be able to proc it in the first place. It's the same reason why I decided to put 2-piece Freedom Blues, just so I can increase his proficiency a little more, but ideally you would want to increase his Anomaly damage. Not only that, but his shield is also fairly tanky even without it. Like, you could put raw attack because that's what his shield scales off of, and it'd be fine, but honestly, his support and damage on his own is honestly worth upgrading just because of how good he is. It's a little surprising, but again, Anomaly Mastery, Electric Damage Bonus, Anomaly Proficiency. When we start talking about substats, I feel like it's also the same way. Just build him like a Anomaly character, honestly. So try to go for Anomaly Proficiency. Actually, yeah, Anomaly Proficiency, Attack Percent, Pen, Flat Attack. That would be like your ideal piece. Obviously, I don't have that many good pieces. It's attack, pen. Right here, Anomaly Proficiency would have been amazing. But, you know, regardless, that is what you're trying to aim for substats. Just build him like a normal Anomaly character and he's going to be just as good, you know? It's just a matter of consistency, and that's why you want to have the energy regen set. But regardless, he's actually pretty good. It's almost like a sub DPS role that you can fit him in. When we start talking about Mindscapes, I feel like the only good ones, in my personal opinion, are 1 and 2. 1 increases his duration, which is just overall more buffs. Really good, just keeping it up longer. And his shield becomes stronger. Very, very sweet. His Eidolon 2 makes it where his move does more electric anomaly buildup, which again, for me, I use him on either Jane Doe teams where she's on her own, or teams where she's with Nekomata. So he's the only other off element. So this is very good. More disorder, more consistently. Now, 4 is is okay. Days meter, you know, it's okay. Personally, I don't feel like this is too significant, but if you can daze the opponent easier or faster, then that increases your DPS indirectly. Pretty good, but I don't think it's anywhere close to on par with 1 and 2. And then Eidolon 6 increases his own damage, which again, I don't think that's the point of his character. I would prefer him to have like a really good buff on E6, but this is okay as well. Making it where his enhanced basic guaranteed crits with a decent amount of crit damage is okay. But like I said, I'd prefer a defensive or supportive Eidolon 6. In general, I feel like these are pretty mediocre. 1 and 2 are actually really valuable. So you guys are lucky if you guys are going to be, you know, rolling for him or trying to just pull dupes. Again, 1 and 2 are very early on, so it's pretty nice that those are the better choices. 4 and 6 are okay. It's still an increase, but I just don't feel like they're on par. When it comes to the Seth teams, I think we know how good he works with Anomaly agents by now. So one of the easiest teams that you can just slot him in is Jane Doe, Seth, Grace. You're proccing Disorder, you're getting your Anomaly buffs from the shield, but it's not a team-wide buff. You can only use it on his assist, which is directly impacting either Grace or Jane Doe. Regardless, it is a DPS increase, but his buffs aren't going to be on both agents, unfortunately. It's one at a time, single target buffs. For me personally, I also feel like in this team, this isn't necessarily his best team. At least yet, not right now. I feel like once you replace Grace for Bernice, this is when the team is going to turn up. Simply because you have more on-field time with one character, whereas this team, you're going to have to switch out constantly just so you can get both up times and try to proc Disorder. Essentially, the reason why Bernice is good is because of the fact that she is an off-field support. In this team, Seth is also competing with both Rina and Nicole. Nicole is just a really universal support, and the electric damage bonus and pen ratio coming from Rina makes it really hard to want to choose him. Now, a team that I think Seth is exceptionally good in is if you were to run Jane Doe, Nekomata, and Seth. Simply because of the fact that Seth is getting the Anomaly bonus from his shield because of the fact that he's sharing the faction with Jane Doe. And then Jane Doe is also proccing her passive for her own Anomaly buildup rate. This is making both your Jane Doe stronger and your Seth stronger. So for me, this is a clear option. Another team that I feel is also very good is if you were to run Jane Doe, Rina, and Seth, just so you can have a hyper carry team for her. And I feel like this is also very viable. But for me personally, my favorite team, Jane, Seth, Nekomata. When talking about Seth's combat abilities, I feel like the most important thing we need to talk about is his shield. How are you able to get it up? How consistent is it? And how does his assist work? Because that's how you're going to be getting your buffs in the first place. Now, if you look at the top left corner, you will notice he has a meter. This gives us access to his assist, which you can get from doing his enhanced basic. Right here, we switch into Grace. We have our assist up. If you check the top left corner again, we have a small icon and a little tiny shield. Now this shield is pretty pathetic because I don't have Seth built at all, but the icon is there, which means we're still getting the buffs. You can have a pathetic shield and you will still have access to it. And even when the shield goes away, you will notice that the icon has a meter and it shows that you still have it active. It's just starting to go away. Right there, for example. So in general, even without not building your Seth at all, you're still getting access to his buffs. Now there's also a downside with this. I don't know if you guys noticed, but when he did his assist, instead of being sent forward to your Jane Doe, like any normal, assist, you actually got sent backwards to Grace. Now, for mouse and keyboard users, this isn't really a problem because your default binds, you could just press C to send your guy backwards and spacebar to send your guy forward. So for us, we have no issue with this. And if you look at controller players, you guys have LB and RB. Again, no issue whatsoever. But on mobile, you only have one button, and that button only sends you forward. So I want to show you an example of how bad that really is in practice because it is very, very counterintuitive for disorder teams. Right here, we proc our assault, we switch into Grace, we proc our disorder, then we use our Seth, and right now we want to go back into Jane Doe so we can continue our chain. But because of how his assist works, we get sent back into Grace rather than our assault character, and now we can proc disorder continuously. Now, that's what mobile players have to go through, and luckily, we don't have to deal with that on both controller and mouse and keyboard. But again, because of how his assist works, it's very counterintuitive for mobile players because it's just annoying. You can't continue your chain, Now, I do believe when Bernice comes out, it may actually solve those issues just because of the fact that she's an off-field support, meaning that it doesn't matter how the uptime works. The whole point is you're going to want somebody on field regardless of the fact. You don't have to switch in between two, and that's also an issue issue with how his shield works, because when you get a shield, you only give the buff to one person anyway. Again, I feel like in this circumstance, he's just not good for a lot of people in disorder teams, including myself, even though I play mouse and keyboard. I'd rather use him on a team where Jane Doe's either getting hyper carried or she needs the buffs accessed because she can't get them from Nekomata, so she needs to rely on Seth instead. Those are the only times I'm personally going to be using Seth because I have Arena and a Nicole. But if you guys really like Seth, you guys could still use him in this team. It's just not as viable. Now, I do want to do him a little bit of justice here because I'm making it sound like he's really bad just because of the fact that I don't feel like he's as viable. Even in the same team, if you can switch backwards, he's actually pretty good. But I'm just referring to mobile players in specific because I had some other people making comments and I just feel bad for the mobile players where like they really can't switch back, so he is pretty useless for them. But in this circumstance right here, in this example, it's pretty good. Right here, we proc our assault. Right there, we proc our disorder. Then we get our assist out. And then we get a switch back into Jane Doe. We proc disorder again. And then we proc disorder again. And then we switch into Seth and do it continuously. But notice how we don't have enough ER to do it just because of the fact that, you know, I don't have him leveled. Now, getting consistent uptime with a disorder team is already going to be hard enough, but it's just going to be a little more annoying without having an off-field support because you're going to have to continue switching over and over and over again. Again, I really do feel like once Bernice comes out, he's going to be a great option. But for me personally, as of right now, I don't think he's all that. Again, though, his buffs are great for Anomaly team, so I do understand. But I just wish that his buffs were provided to the whole team so that if you do switch out to Grace, she would also have that shield up, not just your Jane Doe. Again, just my personal opinion, but I just wanted to do him a little justice and show you an example of how his rotation would work even in this team. Now, to be completely honest with you, Seth is so simple. That's basically all you really need to know about his kit. There's also niche things like, for example, if you hold his skill, he actually charges it, you know? Now, in practice, you will never do that. Because in game, you're not going to really want him to be on field that much. Even the split second, you know, those tiny bit of frames you could just be using to kill the opponent with your DPS. There's no reason for you to charge anything in this game. Again, it's just pretty useless to know. Also, his ult, you're never going to be using it on him. You're always going to be using your Anomaly units to proc their disorder or whatever. So again, pretty useless ult, but just want to show you the animation here. Pretty cool. In a niche scenario, if you really need his meter, you could build it up, you know? Again, his kit is pretty simple. You just want his assist. You just want his buffs up. His shield is the most important part. His ult is right there. You do get his meter up, but it's literally just his skill. Like you can see right there, you don't even need to charge it, and you still get the meter built. So again, his kit's very simple. I don't need to specify anything else. Pretty cool. I like the fact that he's a simple character. Now, even though I was showing you this team, I'm going to be showing you gameplay of him where it's a completely different team. For example, in that team, I'm going to be using Nekomata with Jane Doe and Seth. In that team, I'm also not going to have Seth out that often because honestly, Nekomata and Jane Doe just bullied the shit out of the people we went up against in that gameplay. But it's mainly because of Seth. Seth, even without being used at all in that team, procs both his own passive and Jane's passive, which means Jane is literally getting a direct buff because she has her full kit up. He is really good in that team. Now, it's not like I don't use his assist at all. I do use it once, but I just don't feel like it's, you know, a fair representation of what you could be using. Again, he did really good in that bit of gameplay that I showed, so I hope you guys look forward to it. Hi guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Usually the videos are a little longer, but I feel like Seth is such a simple character that like I didn't have to explain too much in this video. There's no iframes, there's no issue to talk about his ults. It's like it's all pretty simple, That's why I just kind of skimmed through everything, because the biggest part of his kit was just the shield, and well, we got to show that in good action, you know? Also, the gameplay was very fun. I love any buffs to Nekomata. It's very sweet to see that Jane is able to work with both her and Seth. I just enjoyed that team and that fight a lot. Mind you, that's the hardest fight in this update right now, so pretty insane to think about that they just annihilated that easy. I also want to say thank you for the 300 subs, guys. It means a lot. I can't believe we're growing that quick. Hopefully we can hit 500, because when we do, that means that we're gonna be able to provide memberships or whatever you call it on YouTube. Pretty cool. And then hopefully, even optimistic, right? But maybe one day we can also monetize this channel. Anyway, thank you for watching, guys. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.